applying next this fall. Okay. So, and it's only for a global studies major. We're not going over global studies minor requirements. So this is what global studies is, right? Looking at globalization and looking at the process of globalization. So logistics, you all have your mics off, great. If you can save your questions until the end, you can also type them in the chat. Listen, I will do our best to try to answer them at the time or at the end. If you have your video on, that's great. If not, understandable, but it's nice to see. Hi, Lucia, I see you are the one who has it on. Isabel, it's nice to see you all. It's nice to recognize you because I know some of you came to the open house or orientation. So it's always nice to see you here with us today. And as you can see, Liz is here with us. She wasn't at the open house, but she's back. Okay, great. Next. So what is a major about? And you've heard this before, and probably you saw it on our website as well. We are studying globalization. And globalization at UCLA, we study through 3 different pillars. One is governance and conflict. The other one's markets and resources, and culture and society. So you get to study it from different angles. And the courses that correspond for each of the pillars, as you may imagine, governance are more of the political science courses, markets are more the econ, environment courses, and culture and society are more of the sometimes history or anthropology. Next. Okay, so these are some of the topics that we cover, just to be a little more specific. I know when we look at the broad and abstract concept of globalization, it's hard sometimes to put it into words or specific topics. So if you're interested in any of these topics or many of them, this is something you're going to be studying in your classes. Probably you're looking at in Global Studies 1, if some of you are taking this course, you're looking at colonization, imperialism, you're looking at migration, political violence, a lot of these topics that are in our intro course and in our core classes as well. Application requirements. All of you are aware, hopefully, that by the end of junior year, that's the latest you can apply. We do recommend, and specifically for transfer students, right? Like you apply as a junior. For sophomore, we recommend for those students who came in as freshmen to apply a sophomore year. The earlier, the better. So the last opportunity to apply will be fall of junior year. The application requires you to have a 3.25 GPA. That's the minimum. At least a B in Global Studies 1. You need a level 3 of foreign language. And for sophomores that are applying, this is not required because we know it's difficult to get into language courses when you're a sophomore. So we're willing to wait a little for you on this. But for anybody else, like transfers or juniors, we need a level 3 of a foreign language completed by the end of fall. And submit the application that will open up on November 15th. So in about a month, we give you a couple weeks to submit that application. And you need to have a BACA major, which a lot of you have IDS as a BACA major. You can also have a Latin American studies. One of the area studies, for example, these are some examples. You can have a geography as a BACA major, political science for those of you who are not transfers. There's many that you could choose from, and that's something that we're going to ask you on the application if you have, what is your BACA major? And then sophomores, if you apply and you're not admitted this year, you can apply again next year. Okay, so the online application, the first question will be some question like biographical questions. So your name, your ID, doesn't mean. Liz, question. We're having a new application for global studies, yeah?
It'll
UCLA?
Through my UCLA forms?
Yeah.
Or I think so, yeah. But the layout will be like, so they won't have to put, I think, like their name and information, because I think my UCLA will just generate that when they do the log on.
Right. Thank you, Liz. Okay, so I'm not gonna be able to show you a sample, but we have created, we've transitioned into my UCLA forms. So the application will be through my UCLA. So it'll be a little different from last year, but similar questions. The good thing about my UCLA, you don't have to enter your name, your ID. My UCLA already captures all that data. So you will have to write a 300-word statement of interest. You will have to enroll in Global Studies 102 and 103 by the time you apply, right? You apply November 15th. By that time, enrollment for winter already starts. So you should be in progress with these classes when we review your application. And then you also have to enroll in travel study program. And the travel study program is required for all Global Studies majors, and enrollment starts the same day. Registration for travel study is the same day as application for Global Studies. So that way you don't forget. We do that purposely so you remember, apply for Global Studies, enroll in travel study. Okay. Sophomores are exempt from the travel study during that year because sometimes sophomores want to take it during their junior year. So if you're not enrolled in travel study as a sophomore, we still will consider your application. Okay, next. This is information that is not always on our website or shared by a lot of people, but this is the stats from last year. The application, the minimum GPA we admitted was a 3.65 prep GPA. And this is because we had a lot of really competitive applicants, so we had to be very more strict when it comes to the GPA. We also had students had at least an A- in Global Studies 1. Anyone below that grade was not admitted into the major. And we received about 64 applications and we admitted 50 students. And this, if you're thinking about requirements for the applications, also includes the 300-word statement of interest, right? So we're also looking at that in addition to prep GPA and the grade in Global Studies 1. Okay, so we only consider UC lower division courses. So if you're a transfer student, right now you do have a 0 GPA because you haven't taken any UC classes, but you will have a grade for Global Studies 1. So that will be the particular class. The grade in that class will be considered as your prep GPA. If you were missing lower division requirements and you took additional ones this fall, we will consider that average as well with that additional lower division requirement. That should not put you at a disadvantage. If you were admitted as pre-Global Studies, you do have priority when it comes to acceptance into the major because you were admitted as pre-Global Studies. If students who were not admitted as pre-Global don't have as much of a priority, they're still eligible to apply. And then, so you submit your application November or December 2nd. We wait for your grades to come in and we'll let you know. We'll review applications and you'll be notified no later than Friday of week 2. And at that time, hopefully you're all admitted. Everyone who's here is admitted. But if you're not, you can change your schedule around so that way, schedule of classes, so that way you can pursue your backup major. Many students who don't do Global Studies major as a major, they switch it into a minor. So you've already taken a few classes for Global Studies, so you can easily make it into a minor if you wish to do so. And when you receive that decision notification, we're going to ask you to accept the admission offer. And this is really important because we want to know if you're still interested. If you do not respond, your spot will be given to someone else. So make sure when you receive that notification that you've been admitted, respond to that by filling out a form that we'll be sending you. Okay, I think, was that it for me, Liz?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you,
so much.
everyone. And I might need to leave a little early. So if I don't see you until the end, nice to see you all again and see you around. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, Sandy. So just kind of following up what Sandy said, you will need to be enrolling in Global Studies 102 and 103 in the winter quarter. There are going to be no restrictions, so you should be able to enroll in these 2 core classes during your first pass because they're not going to be restricted to Global Studies like majors only. The only prerequisite that it's going to have is Global Studies 1, which you all are, I think, completing right now. So the system will recognize that and you'll have no issues enrolling. And then the third class that you can enroll in can be an upper division elective for Global Studies or for your backup major. Sometimes because we are, interdisciplinary, there could be like a upper division elective that could, overlap between maybe poli-sci, which is your backup major, and Global Studies, or for IDS, there is a lot of overlap. So you could pick the third class if IDS is your backup major. That can count for both Global Studies and for IDS in case you are not admitted. And remember, enrollment starts in November. So just make sure that you go to My UCLA, and we send out reminders of when enrollment begins, when the schedule of classes is released as well. So I'm going to do a little bit of a website demonstration on how you can find courses and study abroad options, as well as the application. So if we go to the Global Studies website, you can go under the current students. And a lot of you are probably familiar with this website already, but if you go here, we upload the list of courses here. So every quarter, once a schedule of classes is released and before your enrollment appointment begins, we're gonna put all of the winter courses here that can count towards, your global studies major. And then here we update this before fall quarter begins, and you can see the annual offerings from fall 2023 to 24. So you can see here 102, 103 will be taught winter, and who the instructors are, as well as what courses we're going to be offering spring and then the summer travel study. So this is kind of a good way to kind of plan ahead, especially if you're a transfer student. You can kind of see, when the courses are going to be offered, because you have to take all of them the first year at UCLA, whereas sophomores, you can technically take, a core class later on in your junior year. So that's just something to be mindful about. And then here you can find the major worksheet as well. Moving on to the application. If you go here, applying, you can see kind of what we went over, the minimum requirements that are needed for the application, as well as the application link. So here is where the link is going to be, where you're going to be able to open the application and submit it. We do not accept any late applications, so it is very important that you submit your application on time. There has to be an extenuating circumstance on why you did not submit your application on time, especially because we open up the application for 2 to 3 weeks. It is also one of the things that we suggest is that fall quarter usually is the busiest time for a lot of students. So if you can get started on your statement of interest ahead of time, even before the application opens, that's definitely, highly recommended. You can go to the UCLA Writing Center that can help you with your statement of interest. And once the application opens up, all you have to do is copy and paste from your Word document onto the application, or, you can just edit it as opposed to really starting as soon as the application opens. If you go to the frequently asked questions on the website, you're going to see here that it gives you kind of questions that you can reference when crafting your statement of interest. So you don't need to cover all of these. You can choose 1 or 2. And if you can answer those really well, we would prefer that over, you trying to bullet point through each one. The committee really reviews the application in a holistic manner. So like Sandy mentioned, they're going to be looking at your Global Studies 1 grade, your Global Studies Prep GPA, and your statement of interest. So you really want to make sure you highlight those points of why you want to do global studies, as opposed to any other major at UCLA, what kind of led to you choosing global studies as well. But definitely take your time. And like I said, you can get started on this, as soon as possible. That way you can kind of work your way up to it, as opposed to trying to tackle the statement of interest, right before the application deadline. So moving on. Oh, and sorry, one more thing, the study abroad options. If you go under current students, and you're going to see travel and study abroad. Here is we're going to see the travel study requirements. So we're going to be doing The Hague and Tokyo for next summer. Paris has been canceled due to the Olympics. But if you go here, it's going to directly take you to the International Education Office website. And the dates haven't been updated, but usually it's around the same dates every summer. And 2024 information will be coming soon. You can see who the faculty is, as well as the curriculum. And then, this is where the registration will open for you all too. We also encourage study abroad. So if you go here, you can kind of see the fact sheet that we have, as well as pre-approved courses that we've approved for the global studies in the past. So maybe you want to do travel study, but you also want to, do study abroad in Spain or maybe Latin America, then you can kind of do that and also get academic credit, but potentially get major credit as well. So if you have any questions, you can meet with Sandy or me, and we can kind of talk further about that as well. So what if you don't get into global studies? We don't want you to panic. You do have options. That's why we ask for a backup major, because we want to make sure that if you're not getting into global studies, that you do, try to pursue the second major that you're interested in. IBS, I would say, is the most similar major to global studies, and that is the reason why we don't allow students to double major. There's too much overlap. So, pursue a backup major. You can always make global studies a minor as well. If you are a second year applying, you can always apply again your third year. And you can also pursue any of the international and area studies majors. For the core classes, like Sandy said, you can use those for your global studies minor. So if you enroll in 102 and 103, you need 2 core classes for the minor. So you can use that for a minor and still receive credit and not feel like, you enrolled in these courses without any purpose. Travel study also, if you're enrolling in travel study before, because we do make it a requirement before actually knowing if you're going to, be admitted into the major or not. The travel study, the 2 courses can count towards the minor. So we require 5 upper division courses for the minor. 2 of them are core courses. The other 2 for travel study, that's 4. So you would only need 1 more class and be complete with the minor. You can also, intern abroad, study abroad, or even pursue a master's in an international field. We have some master's programs here at the International Institute. So if you are interested in those, and you can go on our website, you can see the programs that we offer as well. And so these are the internationally focused majors at the Institute. We have Asian Studies, African and Middle Eastern Studies, European Studies, IDS, and Latin American Studies. And all of our majors are on the same website. So you can just go to the academic programs website and you can learn a little bit more about each one on there. So what's next? You can schedule an appointment, virtual or in person, with Sandy or myself. Pay attention to the emails that you are receiving from us. We try not to send that many. We send 1 bulletin once a week. And then if we send out emails throughout the week, it's because they're pretty important, or we think they are things that students may be really interested in. We do send out a notification of when the application is going to open. So pay attention to that. And you can follow us also on our Instagram. If you have an Instagram, it's UCLA_international_studies. And now I think that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and stop recording so that we can open it up to questions.